Hi, third graders. Welcome back to Reading Workshop. Today we'll be starting our next lesson, which is lesson 4. And this is where we're going to learn how we can support the main idea of what is being read by listing the key details from the text. So if you remember, readers, yesterday we learned that the main idea can sometimes be that first sentence of a paragraph or section, could be the last sentence. Sometimes it's not always so visual in the little section that we're reading. Sometimes we have to pull from the other paragraphs that we've read to know what's really taking place. What is the main idea? So, readers, what we're going to do today is we are going to, lesson 4, we're going to support now the main idea. So what we were finding yesterday, we're going to support the main idea with key details from the text. And if you can see my little note at the bottom, we're going to be listing these across our fingers. Okay, so think about your hand. The palm is going to be the main idea. Okay, the main idea that's taking place. And then your fingers will be the little key ideas that help support the main idea. All right, so I am going to go back to, of course, our mentor text from Penguins. And I'm going to go to the same thing that we finished reading yesterday, which was about in the water. Okay, and I'm going to think about first, what was the main idea, the very big main idea about this section? And the main idea, the palm, was ways that penguins function in the water, or how penguins handle swimming in the water. It was all about penguins being in the water. Okay, so our main idea is penguins living and surviving and swimming and being in the water. Now we're going to list the key ideas from the reading that support it. So I am going to just read this kind of quickly, just to refresh your memory on what we read yesterday. And then I'm going to list, and you're going to help me list the main ideas that are about penguins being in water. Okay, so listen in. Penguins cannot fly, but they do flap their flippers underwater as other birds flap wings in the air. As they swim, penguins steer with their feet and tail. Penguins can swim very quickly. When penguins swim long distances, they shoot out of the water, take in air, and dive under again. This leaping is called porpoising. Penguins are able to hold their breath underwater for a long time. Emperor penguins can hold their breath for up to 20 minutes. A penguin's black and white coloring is called countershading. Countershading helps camouflage penguins in the water. An enemy swimming beneath a penguin cannot see its white belly against the bright sky above. An enemy swimming above a penguin cannot see its black back against the dark water below. All right, so that was the section about penguins in the water. Okay, so our main idea is penguins being in the water. So now we're going to list the key the key details from this text that support that. So one thing that supports penguins being in the water is we learned that penguins steer with their feet and tail. Okay, so that's one. Also, penguins swim very quickly. We also learned in the reading, another key idea that supports being in the water is that when they want to go for a long distance, they shoot up and dive, and that is a form of leaping, which they call porpoising. Okay. We also read about penguins being in water, that they're able to hold their breath for a very long time, and that emperor penguins can do it for up to 20 minutes. Okay, another key idea. And then another key idea on this page was that their countershading, the shading of the white and the black on their body, help them camouflage from any potential enemies that want to eat them. All right, and luckily I only had 5 main key details or key details that I was able to list, but if your page has more, you have other fingers that you can use as well. So here's what your job will be. If you are still interested in reading the nonfiction book that you've been reading, then I want you to do this activity with that book. Some of you might be at the point where you're ready for another new nonfiction book, and that's when I invite you to jump onto Epic, which if you need a refresher on how to get to that site, there's the link in our learning document with the code, the classroom code. But you're welcome to get another nonfiction book and do this same lesson with that. Just keep in mind, you might need to do your predicting and tapping into your prior knowledge, okay? But if you're going to use the same book like I've been doing, if you're still like, okay, I want to do a little bit more research and activities with that, by all means, use your book. So your job today, let me show you your student chart. Student chart number 4 will be posted on your learning document, again, underneath this video, something that you might want to click and download so that you can have this as a guide while you're reading. Okay, and this says I can support the main idea of like that section or page by using key details from everything I read. And it said that you can locate the facts and reasons and find examples. You can state the main idea and all the details with your hand. This is the main idea. These are all the little details that support that main idea that's on that page or that paragraph or within that book. And it'll help you then to explain. It'll help with your comprehension yet again. And it'll help you really zoom in on what are you learning about. So that is what your job is to be today, okay? So make sure you set aside some time, that 20 to 30 minute, okay? We want to keep working on your stamina. So I know you can handle that. When you're done reading your nonfiction book with this lesson in mind, where you're listing the key details out, by all means, jump into another book that you have. Maybe you're hooked in another great chapter book and use that time to read some of that too. All right, my friends, have a great time reading. I hope these lessons are going great. I'm so proud of each of you, and stay tuned for one of our next lessons. Take care.